Please premix your paint. We add a drop of water here. And there we need 4 colors, or yeah, I think 4 colors. First, I will go with the light purple. Very light purple color. If you don't have it, you can mix blue with dark pink, or alizarin crimson, or permanent rose. You can make purple with that, with cobalt blue, or even light blue. And add enough water into your paint to make it runny and fresh like that. We keep it aside. Clean our brush. Move on, next part. Next part is red color. Bring red color and add enough water into that to make it runny. So we have this paint ready, but our red is a little darker on the bottom part. So in another section, we need red to mix with a little brown to have darker tone as well. Tiny bit is enough. But the reason I prefer to premix my paint, because make me more easy to work with. Everything is ready and I just need to add on the paper. That's so helpful for wet on wet technique. So bring the brown here and add a little bit red into that. It's okay if it's not really watery, but enough water should be have. That's okay to leave it aside. Clean your brush. Anytime you would like to change the color, please clean your brush with the clean water. Even now, we would like to move on yellow, so we need clean brush. And we can use napkin. So move on to yellow. Take yellow color, bring it here. I don't say about a specific yellow. It can be any warm yellow you have. Cat yellow, lemon yellow, permanent yellow, sometimes gamboge. Gamboge is one yellow that it's so beautiful in watercolor. After that, the color that we see on the bottom part is a little bit orangey. So if you have orange, you can add that already. If you don't have it, doesn't matter. Mix yellow with a tiny bit red to make orange. It's better to have more yellow than red because the orange is more yellow everywhere. And then from a side, when you see it, you can see that it's a little shiny. That's the good option. Because of that, I need to stick my paper 4 sides into the surface, because when all the paper is wet, it can roll. So we need to let it be straight. We don't need to have a roll paper. Okay, I think it's okay. My paper is completely wet and shiny. Even if the paper is 25%, I know that when you start from the top and then move from the bottom part, it will start to get dry. It's okay. Again, we can back and make it wet. So for this specific one, I start with the half part of I cut it into the half. If I divide it into half part, we have the top and bottom. but the bottom part is yellow and the fresh color we need. So I start with that one. I start with the yellow. Diluted your brush into that. So start very gently adding your paint here. It has a little gently angle like that. Freely cover your paper with the yellow color. Even if sometimes happen, your yellow start to finish the premix, that's fine. Again, back to yellow and bring it on top. It's okay not to use water when you bring it a little bit more, because you already go with the first layer as the water base. It's okay. After that, we move on into orange. Bring the orange, and from half of the yellow toward the bottom part, we need to add the orange color. And you see, I don't go through specifically things and method. I just add a color very easily on top of my paper. And again, back to orange and bring some orange color more to cover all this paper. And the paper is wet so far. If it's to start to get dry, just adding more water into your brush and paint, just that. So I think it's enough for the bottom part. Clean the brush. And please move on toward this brownie color that we make. Now we would like to be a little gently close to the yellow. And still the paper is wet and they can fade into each other very nice. If you make it dark, it would be great, because beside the yellow, it's more visible to be dark, and we need this darkness. Just make sure you're adding the darkness in an angle. This part is a little bit up, here is moved down. They're not straight. After adding this brown, at the same time, bring some red color on top of it. And try to reach the top of the paper, not everywhere. Just the left part is reach the paper on top. When we move here, after you pass from this thicker trunk tree, make it move down your red. As I mentioned, if you have 25% cotton, I'm sure that it's a start to get dry. So add a little bit water on your brush and dilute your brush into the paint. Very gently add this wet brush on your surface. Even mine is a start to get dry too. It's 100%, but it's dry. You see here? After it dry, you can see the edges like that. We would like to get rid of it. So clean the brush very well. Start adding the water from here to the part that it's dry. Okay, the top part I keep it white, just a gently purple I need to bring here, close to the red. Some touch, it's not a lot, it's just some touch. We bring purple. Sorry, I have to do all at the same time because of the technique that we work, it's wet on wet. This time I add less pressure in my hand, very gently, just one time touch the paper with the clean water. Add the water on top and just one time touch the paper. Please not go on back. If you go on back, you can move this color to the other. Just one time, and gently with a bigger brush, try to make it wet. And even if you don't want to go through the purple, please bring just a bit more paint into the purple color as well. But we don't go through the purple. Just we need to make it wet. And make sure this is on the stance, so it's okay to be fade and less paint. The yellow part, it's in front, so it's okay to be darker. So I'm okay with it. My paper is wet again. This is second layer, so I need to take my paint with less pigment, with less water, more pigment. Now I go with heavy paint, very less pigment. Sorry, very less water, I mean. I make ready my red, I make brown. I go with the pure brown this time. Dilute my paint into that. Make this darkness on top. You can see it's really darker now. You don't have to come close to the yellow color, just a bit of space we can keep. And then move on with red. Please not water in your paint, more pigment we need, because we would like to have darker tone. And when you are close to the purple, leave it like this. It's better to have a paper wet. And the reason is, this part, we don't want to have edges. We would like red to disappear into purple. And then we can move on with more orange color. As you see again, we repeat everything from the beginning, but because of the technique, we need to be fast. So at the same time, we do everything together. Now just a bit more powerful orange we add. And as I mentioned, we don't use any white color in watercolor. We just play with the amount of water. If you would like to have light value, you need to add lots of water in your paint. If you would like to have darker value, you need to use less water and more pigment actually. So I'm okay with it. I leave it get dry again. And that's enough. Please not work more and more. The second layer, we go with darker tone and use very less water this time. I don't go through the purple, so leave it like that. If you have this burnt sienna, it's already reddish orange. It has red inside. But if you don't have it, doesn't matter. With any brown color, we can add a little red into that and make this reddish color. It's already second layer, so we don't need to add lots of water in our paint. We need just like that, it's enough. Your brush can dilute it into the water, but it's not runny. So we turn our hair of the brush here like that. So we have a paint and we start from one part. For example, I start from here, lay down my brush, hold the brush and move it like that. You can a little bit move it, not be straight, and bring it down like that. Another part, bring from here, a little bit, move your brush. You can even take your brush, just move it toward the tip and make it narrow. Play with the movement and bring it narrow and bring it down here. Little bit thickness on top, on the left side, and then more narrow on the right side. Now these two, just imagine about the trees that it's not visible for us. But for the one that it's visible, which is here, we can start from this big one. We move on from here to this part. It's a little bit thick, so we can a little make the shadow thicker. I'm not happy with the straight part, so I move up and down to play with the shadow too. Make the dark color. I don't go with the black. If you have gray color, you can use that. If not, with the brown and dark blue, you can make the dark color like that. And please not use a lots of water, just less water. And we use this part of the cards, same as brush. I hope it works. I'm not sure, but I know that the plastic one is work. This one, and then you can draw a line like this. It's not very much work because it's a paper. Put like this with the edges and then draw the line. Yeah, it's a little bit work like this. You can draw some line, but with the plastic one. If you don't have narrow brush, if you have it, just with narrow brush, with the tip of it, put your hand somewhere which is more easy for you. You can draw one line. Here, narrow line. Try to add some, use the broken part around it, because we would like to add some like this kind of a line. But you can go with the brush as well, with the tip of brush. Make some details around here. Play with the line like this. Make it narrow. Even add a little bit curvy shape or broken. Beside edge, you can add some line like that. Not a lot to make it really busy, but some it's enough. This is a specific eraser for masking fluid. If you buy masking fluid, you need to have this one too. So they come most of the time together, but I think some art store sell them separately. And very gently, you will erase them and take this part off. Always we need to be gently with the paper because easily can damage. Even if you see that it's really, because the background is dry, you can use less water and make it heavy, just a little bit to try to cover it. Try to cover your painting very gently with acrylic paint. The other stuff that we use on top, I think I mentioned it, it's pastel. But pastel is same as glue. We need to do it at the beginning, not like acrylic. For acrylic, we do it at the end. Because acrylic is heavy paint, can come on top and sit on top of the painting, but the other, which is pastel, you can do it at the beginning and not let the watercolor come on top and cover it. So it depends. You can see if your paint, it's really, the background of the trunk tree is really dark, you can use less water and more pigment. If it's not really dark, you can use watery acrylic. And cover whole the trunk tree. Even the good things about acrylic, you can leave it get dry and again back on top, and if you are not happy with one part, let it cover again. Make this purple that you already had before, but it's better to be light. Just a bit, I add the water on top. And with one movement, because one side of our trunk tree is in light and one side is in shadow. So I start with here, adding, oh, it's really dark. So with more water base, adding some purple in some part and keep the right side, the left side light, some purple tone on the shadow part. Please add a little water on it to be light, not really dark. And keep some part really shiny and white and some part shadow. We will go with it to adding this shadow on each tree. And make sure not to lose all the white part. Even you can work on it, and you see here I just add less or more, it depends. The bottom part, it's most of the time has more, but on top you can add less. Like that. Even you can add more part here or play with your brush stroke. Like that, not to be straight, adding some details more here. But for more part, I prefer to have light purple, not dark. And when I move down, it's more part, it's dark in shadow. You can add more purple part here. For this one as well. And you can feel it, both are this look like the same, even when we work with acrylic and the glue. The results are so similar.